Electronics. So this is the interview preparation series video of EC Electronics. So in this video we are going to discuss some interview questions from power electronics subject. So recently we have started the preparation of power electronics subjects and now we are doing the formula and concept revision video series. Okay. And in this video we will be discussing some important interview questions that you can face in the core company interviews of electronics. Okay. And we are going to discuss the questions from power electronics. Okay, so let us see the questions one by one. The first question is, give some example of power electronics application in your day-to-day life. Okay, so a lot of interviews, if you are going for the interviews, you will have to answer questions related to application level questions. Okay, that is, you will be facing application level questions. That is, what is the application of this subject in your daily life, or what is the application of this particular device or component in your daily life? These type of questions you can always face. Okay, and this questions is actually to test your practical knowledge. Okay, so if the question is, give some examples of power electronics applications in your daily life, actually there is a huge number of applications or things in which we apply power electronics concept. And some of the examples are UPS, which is uninterrupted power supply, which we all use along with our computer, and SMPS, that is switch mode power supply. So these are actually some of the examples of the power electronics in our day-to-day life. And also there is speed control motor, ICU, all these things are there which are actually application of power electronics. Okay, so that is the first question. Next, we all know that SCR is a very important topic under the power electronics subject. You can also face questions from SCR. Okay, so here the question number 2 I have included is, what are the different turn-on methods of SCR? Now I want to tell you that if you want to have a detailed look on SCR topic, I have done a separate video on SCR itself. In that I have explained regarding the structure of SCR, what are the various terminals, everything I have explained. I'll be sharing that in description. Okay, the link I'll be sharing in description. Now this question is asking, what are the different turn-on methods of SCR, that is silicon control rectifier. Here the turn-on methods are forward voltage triggering, gate triggering, DV/DT triggering, temperature triggering, and light triggering. So these are the various triggering mechanisms of SCR. Okay, so that is the second question. Now the third question is, what are the main components used for isolating of power circuits or power semiconductor from low power circuit? That is, what are the isolation mechanisms that we use in power electronics component or power electronics circuits? One and the most important type of isolating mechanism is a transformer. Okay, you can answer as transformers and optocouplers. Both these devices or both these components are actually isolation mechanisms. Okay, so that is the third question. Next question is the characteristic of ideal op-amp. Now you study about op-amp in a lot of subjects actually. In analog electronics you study, and also in a lot of other subjects you study regarding op-amp. Here also you can face questions from op-amp. So the question is regarding the characteristics of ideal op-amp. It is a very important area. Again, there is another separate video on characteristics and the basic concepts of op-amp. So if you want to have a reference, please do refer it. It is given in the analog electronics playlist. Okay, so here the characteristics they are asking. The characteristics are infinite open loop voltage gain. That is, open loop voltage gain is infinity. Then infinite input impedance, zero output impedance, infinite bandwidth, then zero offset voltage, and infinite CMRR. These are the most important characteristics of a op-amp. And these, each and every characteristic is very important. Why? Because in some in examinations, you can face questions connected to these characteristics. They will be telling you to pick the correct characteristics from the given option, or you have to pick the wrong characteristics. Either way there can be questions. Okay, so you have to be thorough with all the characteristics of ideal op-amp. Okay, so that is the fourth question. Fifth question is, for high voltage applications, will you prefer MOSFET or IGBT? So we know that MOSFETs are low voltage devices, right? So for high voltage applications, we cannot actually use MOSFETs, but we'll be preferring IGBTs. Okay, so for high voltage applications, we'll be using IGBTs only. Okay, IGBT stands for insulated gate bipolar transistor. Okay, so IGBT is insulated gate bipolar transistor, and it is actually a bipolar transistor whose gate terminal is insulated. Okay, and this IGBT can be used for actually very high voltage level applications. Okay, IGBTs are suitable for applications which has a breakdown voltage up to 1000 volt. So these IGBTs are having a characteristic that it can handle very high voltages, but whereas MOSFETs are low voltage devices and they cannot handle high voltage. So if it is a case of a high voltage application, you have to always pick MOSFET from these two. Okay, so that is the, sorry, you have to always pick IGBT from these two because you are going for a high voltage application, right? So you have to pick IGBT only. So that is the fifth question. Now next question is again connected with these two devices. For high frequency applications, will you prefer MOSFET or IGBT? Now the question is related with frequency. So if it is a high frequency application, which component will you choose? Okay, for high frequency applications, MOSFETs will be the right choice. If it is a high voltage application, IGBTs are right choices. But for the case of high frequency application, we can go for MOSFETs. Okay, because MOSFETs have low switching losses compared to that of IGBT. So for high frequency applications, we can always go for MOSFET because the switching losses less means it can be suitable for high frequency application. Okay, so that is the case for high frequency application. You have to go for MOSFET. Also, you can see the question and answers on the screen. Okay, so if you want to have a reading along with this question discussion, you can pause the video in between and you can read. Okay, next question. Next question is very important, especially for power electronics. What is the difference between buck and boost converter? Okay, so these are two type of converters and they are DC to DC converter. Means the input voltage will be a DC voltage, output voltage is again a DC voltage, but it will be either enhancing or it will be reducing the voltage levels. Okay, so that is happening here. Now what is a boost and what is a buck? So buck converter means it is actually a step down converter which is going to reduce the voltage level to approximately 80% of the input voltage. That is, if you are going to give an input voltage to a buck converter, it will reduce the voltage to approximately 80%. There can be slight variations in the level, but anyway, it is going to reduce the voltage only. Okay. Next, for the case of a boost converter, it is going to enhance the voltage. Sometimes it will be 5 times it is going to enhance. Okay. So that is the main difference between a boost and buck converter. Okay. So you should be knowing the basics of these two converters because it is very important whether you belong to EC branch or you belong to EEE branch. For both the branches, you have to study converters. Okay, converters, inverters, rectifiers, all these are very important. Okay, next question. What do you mean by commutation? Okay, commutation. What is commutation? The process of changing the direction of current flow in a particular path of a circuit is called commutation. Okay, commutation means, I'll read it once again. The process of changing the direction of current flow is called commutation, and it is used to turn off the SCR. Okay, so in if you see the case of inverters, we know that there are two basic type of inverters called series and parallel inverters. Okay, in these inverters we are actually using SCRs or thyristors. Another name of SCR is thyristor. So these thyristors are used in these inverters, and there we use the commutating elements as inductors and capacitors to actually change the direction of current flow. Okay, so this inductors and capacitors, what they are actually doing is they are changing the current flow direction, and it will help in the turning on and turning off of SCR. Okay, so that's why they are called as commutating element, and that is called the principle of commutation. Okay, so if you don't know anything about commutation, you should be knowing that commutation is nothing but the changing of current flow direction. Okay, so next question, what are the different type of commutation? Again, there is natural commutation and there is forced commutation. These are the two type of commutations. Now, what is a natural commutation? What is forced commutation? So, natural commutation means the process of current flowing through the thyristor goes through a natural zero and enable the thyristor to turn off is called natural commutation. Means it is happening naturally within the thyristor. But the case of forced commutation means the process of current flowing through the thyristor forced to become zero. We are actually applying something externally. Forced commutation means, so we have seen that in the case of natural commutation, naturally the current is dropping down to zero in the SCR and it will cause the device or the SCR to turn off, right? But for the case of forced commutation, we are actually, with the help of an external circuitry or external circuit, we are going to make the current to fall to a value equal to zero in the thyristor, and hence it will force the thyristor to turn off. That is, we are actually applying some external circuit or some external force to make the current flow to a value 0, and then the thyristor is turned off. This process is called forced commutation. Okay, so that is the two type of commutations, natural commutation and forced commutation. Now we can also see the definition on the screen. Okay, so these are some questions which I have included in this video. If you want to continue the series of power electronics, I'll be including a part 2 also, in which we'll be discussing some more questions from power electronics, and in that video I'll be including questions from inverters, rectifiers, all these areas. Okay, so if you want to have a part 2, please do mention in the comment section. We'll be doing a part 2 also. Okay, so if you found the video useful, please do give it a thumbs up, also share it with your friends, and if you want more videos, please do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and keep on watching.